Hey folks, day 34, February 3rd. Glad you're here. Today, for those of you doing the one-year Bible, we've got Exodus 17 verse 8 through 19 verse 15. We've got Matthew chapter 22 verse 34 through 23 verse 12. We've got Psalms chapter 27 verse 7 through 14. Proverbs 6 verse 27 through 35. So that's for those of you guys going through the one-year Bible. Those of you who just tune in for daily devotion, awesome. Glad you're doing that. And again, if any of these ever end up reaching you and touching you, growing you, showing you something new or encouraging you, please grab the URL, share that with somebody so they can also be a part of what God's doing in your life. Today I want to look at one verse out of Psalms. And again, those of you guys going through the one-year Bible, one of the reasons I love it is you do the Old Testament and the New Testament, and then you do a Psalms and a Proverb. I'm not a huge fan of the Psalms. It's one of those books that I'm glad we do the one-year Bible and split it up, because it forces me to read Psalms, which is a book that I normally wouldn't read. But I'm not alone. I heard somebody, a particular individual who I will not name, who may or may not be a chaplain at the PD, snitch out somebody else who also didn't like the Psalms initially until they spent some time in it. So if you don't like the Psalms, you're in good company. But if you read it and study it, it'll grow on you. But still not one of my favorites. At any rate, I want to look at this Psalms chapter 27, verse 14. Just one verse today. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Now, I'm no genius, but to me it seems like if it's saying something twice, it might be saying it twice so that we get it once, you know? And it's saying wait for the Lord. And then it ends with wait for the Lord. It's one of those four-letter words, wait. As a kid, if my parents said, well, wait, in my head I was like, oh, that means no. Well, not always. Sometimes, yeah. But there's something about the waiting place. The waiting place is the place that grows us, that cultivates us, that changes us. We all end up in the waiting place. Hurry up and wait. We rush to our appointment, we sign in, and we sit in the waiting room. We rush around, driving, trying to get where and we get that red light and we have to wait. We think we have the right plan and we're ready to push forwards, and it's not the right timing and we have to wait. The waiting place. Ain't nobody got time for that. The waiting place. But here it says that we have to wait on the Lord. It's not because the Lord's slow. He's not like some slow grandpa in his walker back behind us trying to catch up with us. We wait to cultivate what He's doing in our hearts so that when He moves, we're ready for what He's doing. See, the waiting place isn't for Him. The waiting place is for us and for our hearts and our minds to get in check and to get where we need to be in a position to receive the fullness of God, the fullness of His plan, and the fullness of His purpose, rather than trying to force the fullness of ourselves and foist ourselves onto a situation. That messes things up in a hurry. No one likes the waiting place. No one likes The waiting place, especially those who are afflicted, those who are suffering, or those who are uncomfortable. That's when you really don't like the waiting place. That's when you call out to God and you're like, God, don't you understand this is uncomfortable? Don't you understand that I don't like it here? Spoiler alert. Jesus on the cross. Before the cross, God, if there is any other way, let this cup pass from me. And then he gets there. My God, why have you forsaken me? You see, he didn't even like waiting on the cross for his death. See, no one likes the waiting place. But the waiting place is essential for all of us to be able to access the victory that is God's. We have to bear it. Bear the waiting place, whatever waiting place you're in right now. Those of you who tuned in yesterday know that right now my family's in a waiting place and my son's in a waiting place. We don't like the waiting place, but we bear the waiting place knowing that we have to get through the waiting place to get to God's victory. Hang in there, guys. I don't know what you're going through, but what I do know is that God's got something bigger for you on the other side.